A very good day to Doctor and everyone. We are from Group 5 and will be presenting today. My name is Simran Jitko and I'll be presenting the research title and the introduction as well. To begin with the research title, so our title is The Influence of Slang on Social Media Communication Among Young Malaysian Adults. Introduction. So what is the background of our study? So in early studies, according to Muhartoyo and Vijaya in 2014, they found that slang used to save time and build in group identity. So communication was mostly through text messaging and face-to-face interaction. Next, changing communication landscape. So from the rise of platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, so it shifts from traditional to digital, fast-paced social media interaction as we know. So previous finding may not reflect current slang usage patterns. Next, research gap. Okay, so according to Murhatoyo and Vijaya 2014, they recommended to expand research to different population and also by using a large sample size. So this shows there's a need to revisit findings in the context of Malaysian youth. And what are the current communication trend? So youth nowadays, they mostly use multiple language on social media according to Saputra in 2023. So the platforms such as Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram encourage code switching and slang. Next, language on social media. So as we know, it is quite informal and creative expression from standard grammar according to Ismail in 2023. And slang nowadays is known as a daily communication tool. So what is the importance of our study? So internet slang may lead to misunderstanding and also communication breakdowns. So this is why it is crucial to understand its impact on how young people communicate online. So what is the purpose of our research? So this research aims to explore the influence of slang on social media communication among young Malaysian adults. All right, so this is our research objective and our research question. So to begin with the objective one is to identify the types of slang used by young Malaysian adults on social media platforms. Research objective two, to identify the frequency of slang used by young Malaysian adults on social media communication. And the last one is to investigate the purpose of using slang in social media communication. Same goes with the questions. So what type of slangs are commonly used by young Malaysian adults on social media platforms? What is the frequency of slang used? And lastly, what are the purpose of using slang among young Malaysian adults on social media communication?
In terms of methodology, our study adopts a mixed method research design that integrates both quantitative and qualitative approaches to gain a more comprehensive understanding of the influence of slang on social media communication among young Malaysian adults. Sampling technique. For the quantitative part, we are using the stratified sampling. The sample is stratified based on the demographic factors, including age that range from 18 to 30 years old, location, both urban and rural area, and social media usage to ensure an adequate representation across the subgroups. For qualitative part, we are using purposive sampling technique. Participants are selected based on specific criteria, which are Malaysians nationality, age range from 18 to 30 years old, and also active use of social media who demonstrate the use of slang in their online communication. Coming to respondents, our target population is young Malaysian adults who aged 18 to 30 years old who actively use social media platforms such as Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. And this age range is actually based on the youth policy, the Malaysian youth policy adopted in 2016, which categorizes youth as people aged 18 to 30 years old. Coming to the last part, which is the sample size, in terms of the quantitative part, a total of 36 respondents actually completed a structured questionnaire, and this sample size is actually considered as adequate for preliminary statistical analysis and allows for descriptive and correlational evaluation. In terms of qualitative part, we are using about 30 participants based on the proposed criteria. So the criteria are actually the participants aged from 18 to 30 years old and also expected to have experience using slang in their digital communication to qualify for inclusion in the qualitative observation. Coming to the research instrument, for the quantitative part, a self-administered questionnaire adapted from Muhator and Wijaya 2014 will be used to gather quantitative data. It consists of closed-ended questions, including Likert scale items and multiple choice questions. Beside demographic items, this questionnaire also focuses on participants' frequency, purpose, and perception of slang usage on social media. For qualitative part, a non-intrusive online observation method will be employed to analyze participants' actual usage of slang on their public social media content. Screenshots and field notes will be taken, of course with consent, to identify patterns and categorize slang expressions. In terms of data analysis, for quantitative part, data collected from the questionnaire will be analyzed using SPSS. So descriptive statistics such as mean, frequency, and standard deviation are used to summarize the data. For the qualitative part, the observational data will be subjected to thematic analysis to identify the recurring patterns, themes, and meanings in the slang usage among the young adults.
A very good evening, everyone. My name is Sanjula. Today, I'll be presenting a demographic overview of the participants in our study, which focus on 5 key categories: age, gender, ethnicity, education level, and primary language spoken at home. So first of all, our total respondents consists of 36 participants. So let's begin with age. The majority of respondents, 41.7%, fall within the age 24 to 26 year. That's 15 participants, make it the largest age group. Coming in second are the 30 years old, who represent 33.3% or 12 individuals. So smaller percentage was seen in other age, like 21 to 23 years old, 27 to 29, and 18 to 20 years old, which involve 2 participants only. So this shows a concentration of participants in their mid-20s with fewer from the youngest and older range. Next, we have gender. There is a clear gender imbalance. 83.3% of respondents are women and only 16.7% are men. So this means that women make up the overwhelming majority of the sample, suggesting either a gender-specific interest in the subject or recruitment bias. Now, on to ethnicity. The dominant ethnic group in the study is Malay, making up 80.6% or 29 out of 36 participants. Indian respondents account for 16.7%, and only one respondent was Chinese. The sample is therefore heavily skewed towards Malay participants, with some representation from Indian and minimal representation from Chinese communities. Let's look at the education level. The majority of respondents, 63.9%, hold a degree. Other qualifications include master or PhD, diploma. Secondary school only consists of 2 individuals, and just 1 person report a work-related qualification without formal higher education. So this suggests a highly educated participant base, with nearly 80% holding at least a diploma or degree. Finally, we turn to language spoken at home. So most participants, 80.6% or 29 people, reported Malay as their primary language. Other language spoken at home include Tamil, English, which consists of 2 people, and Chinese with 1 person. This aligns closely with the ethnic makeup of the group, again highlighting the predominance of Malay speakers. In summary, the participants are primarily in their mid-20s, predominantly female, mostly Malay by ethnicity, and largely degree holders, and overwhelmingly Malay speaking at home.
Okay, now we will proceed to the findings. Now, for this study, we have come up with several research objectives. Now, for the first objective, we want to identify the types of slangs used by young Malaysian adults on social media communication. This focuses on young adults aged from 18 to 30 in Malaysia. Now, with social media as the dominant communication, especially for Gen Z and Gen Alpha, slang evolves very rapidly. It is shaped by interaction, trends, and peer influence. Now, as you can see from the screen, based from my observations from the most common social media being used among Gen Alpha and Gen Z, this research adopts a purposive sampling approach, allowing us to explore the types of functions and slang deeply and contextually. I've covered several social media being used by Gen Z and Gen Alpha. The most common ones are Instagram, TikTok, X, and even WhatsApp. Now, the several types of slang as being projected here, Kate discovers several description and also examples and also their functions. From this observation, I've covered the several types of slang, which is number one, the identity and group belonging, meaning it is to build social identity and in-group bonding. Okay, as for the example, the use of slang such as bro, lepak, bro, sis, and the function tool for peer bonding. That also applies for other types of slang such as emotion amplification, whereas it is used as a humor or praise or frustration. Okay, and also in terms of digital shortcuts, meaning the usage of emojis, right? It is also the usage also it is used for simplicity. And last but not least is for code switching, whereas they mix several language into one. Okay, when it comes to social media communication, this also emphasizes in terms of the cultural identity itself, whereas the generation belongs to.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'll be presenting the findings for Research Objective 2, which aim to identify the frequency of slang used by young Malaysian adults in social media communication. To answer this, we analyze several items using descriptive statistics, specifically the mean and standard deviation, the SD. The mean tells us the average response for each item, while the standard deviation shows us how consistent the responses are. A low standard deviation means participants mostly responded similarly, while a high standard deviation indicates more variation in answers. Now, the results show that slang is used frequently, especially in informal context. For example, the mean scores for items like use slangs when chatting with friends, use slang when texting with friends, and how often do you use English slang, were all 3.86 with low standard deviation ranging from 0.44 to 0.51. This tells us that slang is commonly and consistently used in peer-to-peer conversations. In contrast, the use of slang on social media platforms had a lower mean of 3.50 and a higher standard deviation of 1.42. This suggests moderate use but with more variation across individuals. This could be due to different levels of comfort or awareness when communicating in more public spaces. Lastly, the data showed that slang is used mostly with friends, as seen in the low mean of 1.28 for questions about who slang is used with. Again, supported by a low standard deviation of 0.61, indicating general agreement among respondents. Overall, findings suggest that slang plays a significant role and is frequently used among young Malaysian adults in social media communication. Thank you.
Moving on to the findings of research objective 3, which is to investigate the purpose of using slang in social media communication. So based on this table, we can see that there are two purposes. One, English slang cuts down texting time. Two, discovering new ways to express. Share the same mean, which is 4.08, the highest mean. This indicates that the slang helps them to communicate more quickly, and the respondents saw slang as a significant way of self-expression and creativity. English slang cuts down the time, and English slang cuts down time when posting on social media are more or less share the same opinion, which is shortening the time. English slangs helps build friendly relationship, suggests that many respondents think that slangs can build connections. Using English slang helps me express my cultural identity more easily, has the lowest mean, which is 3.36. It indicates that some respondents do view slang as a way to express their cultural and personal identity, even though it is not the most common one. Based on this table, the results of the poll show that young Malaysian usage of English slang is not random, but rather motivated by specific and intentional communication aims. A high positive link between the perception that slang cuts down time and the notion that it cuts down texting time and cuts down time when posting shows a large number of respondents see slang as a way to communicate in online setting more quickly and easily. Slang builds friendly relationship, has significant positively correlated with the use of slang, which is R equal to 0.517 and P less than 0.01. This shows that slang is crucial in fostering interpersonal relationship. The notion that slang helps express cultural identity also showed a positive association, which is R equal to 0.330 and P less than 0.05, although it is weaker compared to the others. In conclusion, the findings show that the slang is not used carelessly or unintentionally. Young Malaysian adults are making strategic use of the technology to improve peer connection, save time, and express themselves in ways that are culturally significant.